Hi, hi, and welcome to Right Away After Party. It's a really special podcast today. I get to interview my dear friend and podcaster, Kath. Her book is debuting very, very soon, and we're going to discuss all the things and all the ins and outs of what it took to get her there. So I'm so glad to introduce Kath, and hi, Kath.
Hi, Nick.
And this is going to be such a special podcast. So I'm so excited. So Kath, I'm just so proud of you. And I know I've said it, over and over, but I just really am. I'm just so, so proud of you. Our we have been on this journey together, and it's just so exciting to celebrate you and uplift you and just to hear your whole journey. So why don't you take us to like very beginning, like what even brought you to this particular publisher?
To the book that I
Yeah.
wrote.
Yes.
Okay, the book. I was actually at a retreat in Istanbul, in Turkey,
Okay.
and it was exactly 1 year after my dad had died. And I was debating whether I should go or not because I felt like like everything was still very raw, and my mother
Mhm.
was really hurting and already, riddled with Alzheimer's. And my elder sister said, Go, go. He
Aw.
would want you to go. And so I went. And on day 3 or day 4, um, most of the girls said, Oh, we're going to go shopping. Come on, let's go. And you know me, shopping? Mm-mm. I'm not your shopper. I'm like, get in, get out as fast as I can. And everywhere, Istanbul is just crammed with people shopping and selling you, bartering and pushing you to buy, buy, buy. No, no, no. So I stayed and I was painting up at the top of, on the deck at the top of this little boutique hotel. And suddenly, in the middle of nothing, in the middle of nobody was with me. Nobody was around. I hadn't been talking. I had no phone reception. So this whole thing, this boy came on a horse riding through the desert and the clouds of dust. And he stops sort of in my mind and goes, Hello, my name's Bonbon, and I have a story for you.
Aw.
Mm.
It just gave me chills. Oh, I love that. I
And
love that.
yeah, it's been a rocky journey. I have to tell you, it's been a rocky journey because we've had ups and downs. And nothing was straightforward with the story. Um, a year after I began writing the story, I moved back to the States because I was living in England at the time. I moved back to the States, and that's when I met you. Shortly after, I met you, and I met Joyce, and I met Margessa, and you know, all of you in Florida, you were like a mainstay while this was still happening.
Yeah.
You just never know how these things are going to unfold.
Yeah. So you brought the project all the way through fruition. And when did you pick it back up to like actually start trying to get it published again?
Yeah, good question. I can't remember the exact dates, but what I do remember is I rewrote the story possibly 5 to 7 times because I started off writing in third person past tense. And
Hmm.
you know what that does to a story. It still tells a good story, but it makes it very removed from the action.
Hmm.
It's like you've got the overarching narrator who's omniscient, and then you've got the players. And so as we kept working, Joyce just kept saying, Well, why don't you try for something closer? And then Claire, my coach in England, said, Why don't you try keep getting closer? Because the closer you are to the action, the more excited the kids are going to be. And if it's present tense, first person, the whole thing changes. It becomes so
Hmm.
immediate. So my last big revision was to put it into first person present tense. I
Hmm.
am the I am the main character of the book, and this is my story. And you don't know if I'm going to live or die because it's all happening right there and then.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that when I started writing it, I began to get excited.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because it was so much richer, uh,
Hmm.
so much more intense. Then I pitched it a lot here in the States. I pitched it a lot, and and it didn't come together for me. It
Hmm.
didn't because of what's happening right now in the market where people feel that women should not write about men, or that white girls like me should not be writing about people who are of a different race.
Yeah.
So, but I felt it. I didn't ask for the story. It came to me. I'm married to Carlos, who's Lebanese. Uh,
Hmm.
so I don't know. There's some sort of magical connection.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell me. I believe in imagination. I believe writers should be able to write whatever they want to write. So I don't like that whole box in like write what you only what you know situation.
Mm,
It
mm.
doesn't sit well with me. But I love that you stuck to this story, and so you triumphed and you just kept pushing to get
Well,
it
I
out.
left it for probably 2, 3, 4 years. I can't remember what length of time.
Hmm.
I put it away when I was told I was rejected flat out, and told you're not going to be able to pitch this in the States because maybe in a few years' time, if something changes, blah, 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 but no. And and so I put it in a drawer. I was devastated.
Hmm.
I was devastated because I'd worked so hard on it. That
Yeah.
being said, I didn't give up on writing.
Hmm.
Kept writing. So I think I wrote maybe two or three different books in that space of time while he was in the
Yeah.
drawer, file on the computer.
By waiting, waiting
Waiting,
patiently.
waiting. Yeah, and then I was in a class or in a retreat or something, and somebody said, "So what's happened? What's happened to Bonbon?" And I told them the story, and it's like, no, rubbish. No, pull him out again. We'll make it work. And so I pulled him out again and polished him off a bit and got him ready. And it was during the editing. You know how you've got to tighten up your manuscript before you start pitching your book.
Hmm.
So I had it edited by a professional, and they loved it. And they put me in touch with the publishing company.
Nice.
And the publishing company invited me, said, we would like
Wow.
a small company. I don't want to be big right now.
Yeah.
Everything is so new. Everything is so scary. I don't want to start off big. I want to start off small.
Yeah.
Plus, at
I
my
agree.
age, you think, come on, 65, starting a new career at 65.
Hey, we're not talking about that. That's a whole other book that we're writing. Our dual memoir
Yes,
published
yes.
after 50.
But that's the chapter, right? You're never too old. It's
Yes.
never too late.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for our audience, Kath and I are still working on a memoir. It's publishing after 50. That is kind of the niche. And that will hopefully come out sometime soon. But no, you're never too old. And I'm happy that you're with a small press because I'll give you more room and more
Mm,
growth and really understand the process.
yeah,
They hold your hand a little bit more than like a big house would.
I
Um,
think we will.
yeah, and it'll get a little bit more. And you're also can be up for a lot more awards when you're with a small press too, because they actually send stuff out, for
Mm.
their colleagues and their
That's
books
yeah,
because
that's one
they
thing.
want that because they want that press. So, big houses sometimes don't really necessarily send their work out to all those awards, but
This is why it's so good. You know these things. I don't know these things.
yeah, so your book's gonna be pitched for all kinds of awards, I'm sure, and
Yeah,
I'll be
they
on some
keep saying
indie
that.
lists and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be exciting. So,
And they keep saying that it has the makings of a new classic, a new children's classic. So
I was gonna tell you like the cover. Do you want to share the cover with the audience yet or
sure,
okay.
sure. I have it bound. This is the last copy I'm going to see before.
Yes. And I was thinking about that cover the other day and it has that real like classic book feel, like sensibility to it.
Yeah.
And I love the colors. Like I was going to tell you, like the colors are just,
Oh,
they're so like calming in a way. And that
yeah.
white horse just stands out so much. I just love it.
She's
So
she's the horse he came on, a beautiful silver white
yeah.
ribbon. That's him on the horse. I can probably put
Yeah. So,
it.
I mean, it's just like the whole idea of it is just like, it has such a dream like quality to it. I love it.
It really does. And yep, and then it's got its whole back cover thing with the blurb,
Yeah.
the ISBN number. And I had a friend who told me that, Kath, is your number.
That is your number.
Your number.
That's your special,
Oh my
special
gosh.
number.
Oh my gosh. So you think, wow, there's just
I know.
so
It's
many new
real.
things, and you want to sort of
Well,
breathe.
are you, so have you like really like accepted this and owned it now? Because I know for a long time you were just like, oh, when it happens, I'll know it happens. I mean, you signed the contract and it still didn't feel real. And then
Yeah.
you got the editing pages and you said it still didn't feel real.
That was rough. Look, this was the big edit there. You can see.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Oh,
had big work to do because they were pulling pieces out and saying, no, we don't this. So the thing is, we polish our manuscript as much as we can to fit the
yes.
book. And once they've chosen you, guess what? You've got more
No,
work.
and it's like, you're sitting around, you're polishing and polishing, like for what? You might as well just send it out.
Now, the beautiful thing that happened, I was going to say this about that. My father, who worked for 30 years in the textile industry as a general manager and then moved to England, he was involved in insurance. But
Mhm.
on the side, he became a professional proofreader and he used to
Oh,
get a
wow.
lot of work because he's fascinated by proofreading. And I'm like, how do you do it, Dad? And we had long conversations about this because, of course, like you, I too am dyslexic, and I think we've spoken about this.
Yes.
Um, and one day we're going to have to talk about it a bit more at length about, what things we've overcome as grown
Yeah.
women, because we didn't have all the options that younger people have,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things, twice my dad said it, it was like a gift before he died, and I didn't know how to accept it. He said, you write the story. You have the imagination. There are people out there like me whose job it is to go through your book with a fine-tooth comb and make the corrections on the grammatical, technical side and keep the continuity and consistency. And if only I'd believed him when he said that to me, this would have come out a whole lot earlier, so a
But
whole lot sooner.
we can't really beat ourselves up about that. And
Exactly.
I mean, I'm definitely a true champion of like, just it comes out when it's supposed to come out at the right
Agree.
time.
Agree.
I just
I needed to change. I needed to grow. I
yeah.
needed to get to where I am today to be able to wear this cloak, this name, this thing that's happening to me at this stage in my life.
It's so exciting. I'm
It
so
is.
happy for you.
It is. Thank you. Thank
Oh, well, it has been such a blessing. We only have a few seconds left,
And I'm
and
jumping on a plane tomorrow, so next
I
time we
can't wait.
talk.
I know she's leaving for England tomorrow to go out to see her publisher and hold her real book in her hands.
And I
And
got my first invitation to speak at a school today.
oh
All the
wow,
details, and I didn't know all the details. Oh my gosh,
oh
there's
my
so many details.
gosh.
I thought I'll just say yes and pitch up, and no, it's not like that at all.
Well, you have to, do you have like a slide ready, like a preview of your like material or your
Nothing,
nothing? You don't know what you're doing?
no,
Well, I
nothing.
mean, this will be your first experience. You'll learn from that one.
Yeah, and if I fall down, I'll get up, and if I fall down
Exactly.
again, I'll get up again.
You're a great speaker. You'll be fine.
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you.
But we're gonna still be filming our podcast while you're overseas and
Yes,
over the pond.
across the pond. Yeah.
And our reader our we'll be able to tune in still on our podcast and we'll be on your journey with you. It'll be so exciting.
Thank you, Nick. This was so much fun.
Oh, well, I love you. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Of
And
course.
everyone, if you really liked this podcast, please subscribe and like us and leave us a comment. Leave Kath a comment. Congratulations to Kath. And I'll see you soon, my love.
All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.